Good morning. Well, I appreciate the kind words and the relationship and the connection that the three of us have. It's unique. It's special. I consider Edward one of my mentors, and I don't use that word a whole lot with a whole lot of people. I think to call someone a mentor, that's a role that has to be really deserved and earned in a big way. But he's a financial mentor. He's a mentor as a man to man, as a husband and a father, and I'm going to cry talking about it. Just someone who has really played a deep role in my life and my journey, and really thankful. I remember when, when I called you. You were in Vegas back in the summer of 2020, and I said, "Bro, I got to come see you. I got to show you this idea I have." And it was the Daisy model with the smart contracts, and the first presentation ever done with Daisy was done on a napkin, sitting at Earth Cafe in Las Vegas, and I'll never forget that. And I'm, drawing out this whole matrix and this whole idea, and one thing about I'm a deep believer in collective genius, and I appreciate the words, and I think that certainly when God gives you the ability to think outside the box and you have the courage to follow those thoughts, it inspires bigger things. But I can tell you, there's not one idea, there's not one element of Daisy or of Liquid that came from an individual. It was a collective genius. I can tell you many of the Paysetter leaders that are here today that you've heard on stage played an intricate role. I mean, just a irreplaceable role in the development of our business models. Because we really believe in that. We believe that as a community and as collective thought, collective genius, we can really achieve great things together. And so, we really know that to be true. So, Liquid, I'm excited to talk this morning about Liquid and share with you the information, because the disruption, as we talked about yesterday, of this business model, Daisy, and what we're stepping into next with Liquid, is really in alignment with our core values. The core value of Daisy is to create a business model where everyone wins with profits, equity, and income, right? Whether they ever refer a single person. And that's our formula, that's our model, and that will never change, right? We believe that that's probably the biggest disruptive element about our model is if another person never joined Daisy, if we stopped enrolling new people forever, every single person that's joined Daisy is going to win. They're going to continue to win. They're going to earn, and you, as those who have built the business, will continue to earn residual income if not one single dollar of new money ever came in. And that's radical. I mean, that's, I to my knowledge, Daisy is the only business that actually is in position to deliver on that promise. Because from my knowledge, any program that's offering the idea of this passive income, it's actually not passive. It's actually based on new people signing up, and then they're taking some of that new money and paying it out to all the members to make it appear to be residual income. But guess what happens? The moment the new sign-ups slow down, so does this passive income component. And so Liquid is really in alignment with that philosophy. And I personally believe that where this is going to go to another level is that it's asset-based, right? So in today's world, in today's economy, one of the smartest decisions anyone can make with their money is to own real assets, right? Real assets like property and real estate, real assets. Some might say gold or other elements, but in my opinion, owning the asset that produces the digital currency, owning the miners, the hardware, the actual technology, the actual computers that create the Bitcoin, that mine the Bitcoin. This is, if you believe in the cryptocurrency space, then this is one of the smartest decisions that you can make. and it's to own assets and really protect yourself and position yourself financially with real asset ownership. So if we can pull the slideshow up, I'm gonna go through the slides with you this morning. Liquid NFT, the world's first cryptocurrency mining NFT, and the world's most profitable cryptocurrency mining business model. And I'll tell you where this really gets me excited, and I'm a Bitcoinist, and I really believe in the decentralization of economics. And I think this is the brilliance of what Satoshi Nakamoto put in his white paper and the vision of Bitcoin that really I buy into. And I want to read this quote from the Satoshi white paper. We propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. The network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed. This adds an incentive for the nodes, miners, to support the network and provide a way to distribute coins into circulation, since there is no central authority to issue them. The steady addition of a constant amount of new coins is analogous to gold miners expending resources to add gold into circulation. In our case, it's computer time and electricity that is expended. Now, I believe that when people understand the correlation between Bitcoin and gold, their mind expands into what this space is really all about. Gold is a commodity. It's a money that is limited in its supply. There's only so much gold in the ground. It's a asset that requires work in order to be mined. It can't be printed by the Federal Reserve. You can't print more gold. You can't print more Bitcoin. It has to be done by work. And really, Bitcoin is that digital equivalent of gold. And I think that's the reason that Bitcoin, regardless of how much resistance there has been in the market to this breakthrough idea, it's destined to take its place in the world because 100% Bitcoin follows the economics of gold and real assets. And so in the old days of gold, you would mine gold with your hard work, with your labor, with your picks and your shovels. In the new age of digital gold, that mining work is being done by computers, by miners, computers that mine Bitcoin by solving the algorithms, and you can learn more about that. We won't go into a lot of details. But what I love about Satoshi's vision here, and this is where we come in, it was always supposed to be a decentralized network owned by the people. That was the vision of Satoshi, a peer-to-peer network. It was always designed to be, and in the early days of Bitcoin mining was being done by thousands and tens of thousands of technology people, mostly around the world, who were taking their computers and they were using their computers to mine Bitcoin. But as Bitcoin began to grow and the market began to grow, very quickly the game changed. Very quickly the game changed. And the large companies, the institutions, the billion-dollar players realized how big of a market this is, and they realized that they could push the little guy out and they could take over and monopolize this industry. And it's happening all over the world, from publicly traded companies to massive institutions and family funds. They're coming in, they're acquiring land, they're using their purchasing power to buy large quantities of Bitcoin miners, and the little guy doesn't stand a chance in most cases to ever equally and fairly participate in Bitcoin mining. It has become monopolized and dominated by institutions. They've, in a sense, hijacked the market from the people and made it an institutional play. But this was never the vision of Satoshi. This was never the vision of the Bitcoin community. This was something that always was supposed to belong to the people. And so we have some problems right now in the Bitcoin mining space. People, individuals have no access to the newest technologies. And we can just stop right there. But the reality is the newest technologies, the technology continues to evolve and grow. And every time a breakthrough technology enters the market, it's gone before it even shows up, because the institutions come in with massive amounts of money and they just buy out the inventory. They buy out the manufacturing capacity, and the little guy does not have access to the newest technologies. They have access to the old technologies in most cases. Very high retail costs for miners because they don't have the buying power of institutions. Individuals do not have that buying power. Very high retail costs for hosting and electricity, low profit margins for retail clients, much higher risk for retail clients because of those margins and the cost of operations. And as a retail miner trying to plug into some type of institutional infrastructure, there's very little transparency and trust that is there. So we are delivering a real solution to the marketplace by launching the first NFT that actually gives you real ownership of a real Bitcoin miner. Not hash power, not, something that, pretend ownership, real ownership of real hardware. And that ownership is reflected by the NFT itself. The NFT represents the actual ownership of real Bitcoin miners. And that's revolutionary alone. And what really gets exciting is that the mining space that we're moving into is powered by liquid immersion technology and the lowest cost electricity in the world, providing you with maximum daily profits, equity of real hard assets, and long-term passive income. Our goal is to create a decentralized mining world that is owned by the people, creating the largest and most profitable decentralized mining operation. As an NFT owner, here's what people will get. They will get direct access to the highest performing miners at the lowest cost. They will get full integration of liquid immersion technology for a minimum of a 25% increase in mined Bitcoin. The highest Bitcoin payouts and the fastest ROI in the industry, ability to sell the NFT in the open market, first access to every new generation of hardware, profitable mining in any market condition, low cost electricity and hosting, full blockchain transparency, and for the first time ever, smart contract collection and distribution of funds. Now, this is revolutionary because when you own the NFT, you have access to the mining pool smart contract, and your mined Bitcoin from your miner is transparent on the blockchain, and you can claim those rewards at any time through smart contracts. Now, for those of you that know that Bitcoin is not accessible on smart contracts, we are using a wrapped Bitcoin. That simply means that, like all of the major exchanges do, they simply wrap that Bitcoin into a Bitcoin on that particular blockchain that allows it to be withdrawn and used inside of a smart contract. And so the smart contracts will be used for the distribution of the profits. And this is a really unique part of the model. Mining profitability. Now, what determines the profitability of Bitcoin mining? There's three factors that really come into play here. Number one is the cost of the mining hardware. Number two is the performance of the mining hardware. And number three is the cost of electricity. You could also call that the cost of operations. So those are really the three factors. The lower price that you can get for the actual hardware, the more performance you can get in the mining of Bitcoin, and the lower the cost of operation, the more room there is for profits. So what are some of the advantages that we have with Liquid NFT? Well, we have direct access to manufacturers and OEM contracts that allow us to secure the top performing miners in the industry. In fact, some of the new generations of miners that we're going to be bringing to the market will literally be the highest performing miners in the market today. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you're going to have absolutely the highest top performing miners in the marketplace. Number two is we have original manufacturing relationships direct from the manufacturer. And so we are actually going to be giving the world access to an exclusive miner. So not just access to the miners that are already in the market, but when someone buys a liquid NFT, they're actually getting access to a custom-built exclusive miner designed specifically for liquid immersion, and we'll talk about that. And that liquid immersion cooling provides a minimum of a 25% increase. Our data center infrastructure, right now, currently, we have several different options and partnerships available to us. Right now, the one that we're really leaning towards is a 600 megawatt site, because that really allows us to scale. Number two, low-cost electricity and operations. And number three, the top liquid immersion manufacturing in the entire world. We've actually partnered up with some of the teams that literally pioneered this space, literally have been building and developing liquid immersion technology for the last 5 years, and it's ready to go to market at scale. So let's talk a little bit about the power of liquid immersion technology and what liquid immersion technology is. So very simple, here's the restriction, here's the limit currently today on Bitcoin miners. And I'm going to take a little bit here and just share some inside information with you about this. So the way Bitcoin mining works is you have a ASIC miner, and that's ASIC is the type of chipset that it uses. ASIC miners, ASIC technology cannot be programmed or changed in their code. They can only do one job. Whatever job you give it to do when you build it, that's the job it can do. So Bitcoin miners are programmed with an ASIC chip that has one job, and it's to solve and operate SHA-256 algorithms, which is what Bitcoin uses for mining. And it can't do anything else. It can't open up Facebook. It can't read an email. It can't mine in Ethereum. It can't process data. It literally does one job. It's a workhorse. It literally is a machine of a computer that is built for the highest performance possible with a single job. And that single job, in our example, is to mine Bitcoin. The problem or the limitation of today's miners, and historically, is heat. So in order to run an ASIC miner, if you've ever been to a mining farm or plugged it in, it's enormous amounts of heat. And you can only run those miners to a certain level of power. Because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when your computer's running too hard or your engine in your car is running too hard, it overheats. Well, because of the power of these ASIC chips, and they're designed for power, they can only work up to a certain level before they start to overheat. So the reality is the hash board or the miner has the ability to do a lot more, to mine a lot more Bitcoin than it's currently mining today because the heat restriction, they can only run to a certain level of output and power before they overheat and you ruin the chips. And so it's so much so that, for example, in the traditional data center world, everything is built on 19-inch servers. Everything. If you go to a data center filled with servers, those servers are 19-inch server boards. Well, in Bitcoin mining, you can't even use a 19-inch board because it's too big. It's too much heat. So they literally cut the boards in half. That's why miners are about this big, not this big. Because they needed to keep them small so the fans can move the airflow through and keep the hardware cool. I'll probably give you much more information than you'll ever need to know or share, but I want you to understand the power of what we have our hands on here and why this is so disruptive. So the heat capacity has really been the limit of Bitcoin mining. So 4 or 5 years ago, when I really started to dive into this space, I asked myself a couple of questions, and I started researching and asking experts these questions. And that's a nugget, by the way. Disruptive ideas are really just the result of disruptive questions. It's that simple. Like Tony Robbins says, ask a better question, get a better answer, right? And so, typically it's like, I love what Edward said yesterday, that the mind is not able to receive a new idea if it's still holding on to an old idea, right? You cannot put new wine into old wineskin, right? You have to ask a different question in order to get a different answer, to disrupt the limitations of current thought patterns. So we started to ask the question, how can we lift the potential of Bitcoin mining? How can we eliminate this issue of heat restriction? And the answer to that is liquid cooling and liquid immersion. And this is a technology that's been used in many industries and power generation and in several industries, but it's never been implemented in the Bitcoin mining up until now. Now, here's what's interesting. We began to develop this business model and prepare for this liquid project months ago. In the last couple of months, some very big announcements have been made in the mining world. Number one, multiple publicly traded companies that are Bitcoin mining companies have announced that they are now focusing all of their effort and their resources on building data centers with liquid immersion technology. Now, this is huge because up until now, it's never been done. And the biggest, multi-billion-dollar public companies have now publicly said, we're shifting all of our focus to liquid immersion technology. Another thing that happened just maybe 2 months ago is the largest Bitcoin miner manufacturing company in the world, the dominating company in this space, a company called Bitmain, announced that from here forward, all of their focus in R&D and manufacturing is going to be on liquid-cooled miners. In fact, they just launched the very first hydro miner, and this is all they are now marketing. Once they sell the air-cooled miners that they have in inventory, they are only manufacturing liquid-cooled miners from here forward. Now, that was a huge high five for me because I was like, no, we are literally in front of this trend, right? And as we're stepping into this trend, the market is starting to move in this direction as well, and we're in front of that. So when you remove heat as a restriction, you can now run those miners at full power. And you can now develop miners with much more power capacity, mining capacity, because you no longer have to limit yourself based upon the heat restrictions. And so there's a whole world of Bitcoin mining potential that's out there because of liquid cooling and liquid immersion technology. Here's some of the benefits of liquid immersion. Number one, it eliminates the breakdown of hardware. This is huge because typically a miner has a lifespan of 2 to 3 years because they're using fans, they're running in air-cooled environments, there's dust, there's debris, there's heat, and it's just a matter of time until ultimately those miners start to lose their performance, those chips start to burn out, they go bad because of the heating issue. We met with a data center company in Houston, Texas, that has actually been using liquid immersion, not for Bitcoin mining, but for their data center servers for the last 9 years. And there was a test that was done. They ran a test on their hardware. 9 years later, their servers were running at 99% capacity of the original day they were put online. 9 years later, because when you put them in liquid and they run and operate inside of that liquid immersion, you don't have the dust, you don't have the dirt, you don't have the debris, you don't have any fans. There's no fans at all. And so the wear and tear is removed. It allows for maximum overclocking performance. So now you can run those miners at ultimate capacity. Now, I won't bore you with details, but there's one more breakthrough that has come in this space, because up until now, the power supply for miners had the highest power supply out there was 4,000 watts on a single miner, because that's all you needed. You didn't need more than 4,000. Because if you were running at 4,000 watts, that thing was running hot. It was as far as you could push it. But we just discovered and have negotiated with a company out of Japan who actually has created the first 6,000 watt power supply. This, by the way, is the same power supply that Bitmain is using on their hydro miners. So not only do we remove the cooling limitations, but we can also potentially run and overclock this hardware up to 100% more than its normal capacity. But just even with a 4,000 watt supply, a 25% or more increase in Bitcoin mined per machine. You get an increase in power efficiency. You get maximum performance in any climate condition. I can tell you that we have interest right now, even here in the UAE. I have had several meetings, and I have several more meetings this week with the government and with the local economy, because in the past, you could never do Bitcoin mining, for example, in the middle of UAE. It's too hot. They were building these things in Iceland and, Alberta, Canada, and, because it needed the best cooled environment as possible, right? Well, now we can literally put mining in the middle of the desert at no matter what the heat temperatures, it doesn't even matter, because the units are running in liquid immersion. And so that liquid immersion is like a radiator, right? It's like in your car, you have a radiator fluid that gets cooled, and that cooled fluid keeps the rest of the engine cooled down. Similar concept, right? The liquid is cooled. It's a liquid that it's a dielectric fluid that allows electronics to operate in the liquid and allows the flow of electricity, and it allows you to work in any climate condition. Maximizes data center capacity. So now, instead of having a bulky miner and you have to have room for that miner, we can literally now just take the hash board. Think about a motherboard on your computer. So we just went from a miner to a hash board, because we don't need the fans. We don't need a box around it. We can literally take just the motherboard, put it in liquid immersion technology, and operate the Bitcoin mining. So very, very powerful for capacity, and of course it increases the total ROI. The Liquid NFT miner is exclusive, first ever custom built Bitcoin miners for liquid immersion through OEM manufacturing partnerships and leading technology innovators. This hardware is exclusive for Liquid NFT owners. In other words, what we're bringing to market, you can't get anywhere else. We're bringing something that's never been done, frontline, cutting edge. It's never been done to scale, is what I should say. And it's exclusive for our NFT owners. Liquid NFT miners will be the highest performing miners in the world. Our roadmap includes the first ever 19-inch ASIC servers for mining, and is 100% proprietary for liquid NFT holders. Will be the most disruptive miners in today's market. And when you take all of that and tie it into a smart contract environment, smart contracts enables full transparency of the mining performance on the blockchain. NFT-enabled smart contracts for profit distribution, 100% transparent use of funds from the time of purchase, ownership secured on the blockchain, full automation and secure execution, eliminates the risk of human error, and provides 100% trust for profit distribution. And by the way, we will be the very first ever to distribute the Bitcoin mining and process the initial transaction of NFT purchases for miners 100% on the blockchain and inside of a smart contract environment. So that's pretty exciting, guys. That's a disruptive model that's never been done before. The NFT gives you transparency and authenticity of your ownership. It gives you security of your assets. It gives you access to your profits and equity through the smart contracts. You can sell the NFT in the open market. You're able to purchase fractional NFTs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But for someone who says, hey, I don't have the funds to buy a whole miner, to buy a whole NFT, they can buy a fractioned NFT. So there'll be a price point for people to enter and participate, even if they can't afford the price of an entire miner. And this really excites me, because to me, we're in this thing so everybody can get in the game, right? So this gives everyone an opportunity to participate. And I personally believe that asset NFTs and what the market's starting to call financial NFTs, I believe, are the future of the NFT market. I personally I don't think that, well, I certainly support art and digital art, and artists is beautiful. I think the potential for the NFT market is way bigger than buying a picture. Way bigger. Way bigger. And I believe that this space of digital ownership and financial transactions of assets there's no better platform for it to exist than the blockchain. And the NFT model is the perfect model to be able to, and they're doing it already. They're doing it with real estate. You know, many different industries are starting to move into digital ownership through NFTs. I sat down with a gentleman, multiple $100 million net worth individual. They just bought a piece of property in another country on the ocean front, and they're building an entire development. And he showed me the pictures, and it's gorgeous. It's going to be this beautiful, beautiful property in Europe, and it's incredible. The entire project is being developed and funded through NFTs. And these are the types of things we'll get to participate in as well. This financial NFT market is powerful to say you can own real assets, and those assets are represented digitally by the NFTs, and you have this access to the profits because of the NFTs. So our roadmap is going to be in two phases. Phase one is going to be very specific to the Daisy community. Phase one is going to be an invitation-only smart contract. So, for example, your current genealogy in Daisy automatically carries over. So everyone who's in your Daisy organization who chooses to buy an NFT, when we go live with this project, that's credited towards you in our referral plan. I'm going to show you the referral plan highlights here today as well. But phase one is going to be invitation-only smart contract. You can only buy this NFT in the beginning, probably for the first 90 days, exclusively through the Daisy community. The referral model is going to have huge mining residuals. This is where the game gets fun. We have one of our mining pools that you can earn shares in. It's called the Empire Pool. And it's a perfect name because there's going to be leaders who achieve shares in that pool, and as a result, they're going to build a financial empire. They're going to be able to have profit sharing in one of the largest mining operations in the world, and it's powerful. So this idea of residual income coming from an asset, not from someone's auto ship, coming from an asset that's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, producing Bitcoin, instead of someone buying a new package. Right? This is disruptive on every level because you do the deal one time. You build a network of assets one time. And let's say in your network there's thousands of individual miners that are owned, NFTs that are owned. You are overriding that entire revenue, that entire mining operation as a result of that. It's very, very powerful. Able to earn free miner. So I'm excited about this. We've got a program we're going to announce when I show you the comp plan. But an individual will be able to earn a free miner through the referral plan. So if they refer 12 NFTs, if they refer 12 NFTs with no time limit, right? It doesn't have to be done in 1 month. But if they refer 12 NFTs personally, they earn a free NFT miner, and they get the revenue from that miner. So that's powerful, a chance to earn a miner. Highest institutional level profits for NFT owners. We're not going to disclose the actual mining profit share today because every NFT package will be different. Depending on what model of hardware it is, there'll be different amount of hash power, different price point, different amount of Bitcoin mined. But what I can tell you is it's going to be you as an individual mining owner, NFT owner, will earn more in profits per miner than what institutions are earning right now per miner. And I can't disclose every reason and how we're able to do that, but we've created a model to offset the cost of hosting and electricity so that the NFT owners can receive maximum profits from the Bitcoin mining. So we're very excited about that. It'll be the fastest ROI that anybody has ever seen. We already have institutions lined up that were ready to go dump their money and try to do their own mining operations. And they said, we can make more money buying into this model than we could if we tried to do the whole deal by ourselves. And we're giving that to the little guy. We're going to let the little guy have that kind of power in this space. Fractional NFTs with lower price points, NFT packages for bigger investors, and optional Bitcoin Daisy growth strategies with zero entry fees. So one of the things that we're going to make available to the community, if you choose, it'll be optional, but if you want to connect, let's say your Binance account or whatever, and you say, I want to take my mined Bitcoin and I want to hook it up to Daisies, which, by the way, we've never implemented a Bitcoin trading strategy in Daisy. But Endotech has a Bitcoin trading strategy being optimized right now, and it's producing 150% to 200% a year increase in your Bitcoin holdings. So all of our current trading strategies are USD based, right? USDT. So we're growing USDT, right? But this strategy is designed to do one thing, and it's designed to grow how much Bitcoin you have. So if the idea is you put one Bitcoin in, and the idea is a year later you have 2 Bitcoin, right? So this is optional, but for every NFT owner, there will be zero entry fee. So normally to trade with Endotech, you have to pay an upfront fee, right? There will be no upfront fee. You'll be able to trade 100% of your Bitcoin and allow that Bitcoin to grow. Completely optional. It's up to you if you want to do it, but we're going to make that available as well. The second phase of our roadmap then is to bring this NFT model to the open marketplace. Now, a couple of things I want to tell you. Number one, the public market will never have the same price for their NFTs that the Daisy community has for yours. So this is big. The best deal in town will always be join Daisy and buy your NFT with us. But the second thing I want you to know is that the bonus pools that we're creating for the leaders include profit sharing from all of the public NFT sales and mining. So it's like owning equity in the mining operation, right? Because we know there's a big world out there of influencers and social influencers who may or may not understand or connect with our peer-to-peer model, but they're going to want this NFT. And so we said, how can we create a model where people will be able to buy an NFT miner at a higher price in our community, but our community still gets the benefit from the mining revenue of all of the miners. Does that make sense? The global NFT market will be exclusively available through the Uplift Launchpad. Now this is big, so what does that mean? Yeah. So that means, yeah, we're gonna make this available to the public, but they're gonna pay a higher price point, and the only way they can buy this NFT is if they go onto the exchange, buy the Lift token, stake the Lift token, and then they can purchase a miner. So that means the Lift token is going to go up in value as a result of that, right? And by the way, we're doing a huge media campaign this year for the Liquid NFT. We have influencers and articles, and people are so excited about this model because it's disruptive. So the blockchain community is all over this. But every article that we launch about Liquid NFT is going to also edify and promote the Uplift Launchpad and the Lift token. So we're going to cross-promote that platform to really help get that momentum behind the Lift token. So it'll drive the value of the Lift token. Mining from phase 2 benefits phase 1 participants. Open market NFT model allows for unlimited expansion. Decentralized mining to the greater blockchain community allows for global influencer and brand partnerships, and it helps us step into that potential to be the largest mining operation in the world. So again, phase 1 is exclusive just within the Daisy community. Phase 2, we're gonna offer the NFT through the Uplift platform to the public, but at a higher price point and sharing revenue back to the community, specifically those that have earned in the NFT bonus pools. So let's talk about the NFT referral model, because I think this is where it really, really gets exciting. You know, I want to talk for a little bit, just share a little bit of kind of what led to this journey, because the first network marketing event that I ever went to, I was 21 years old, and it was an Amway event. How many of y'all have ever been to a massive Amway convention? How many of you are here today because of that? Yeah, every hand went right back up. Because, hey, people can say what they want, right? They changed the world. And they changed my life. And I stepped into an arena at 21 years old And there were 90,000 people. 90,000 people in that arena. And I sat in the very, very back nosebleed section, 21-year-old kid, you know, learning this whole network marketing thing. And I saw what was happening. I saw how they were challenging people to think bigger. And I saw people that came from nothing just like I did. And they changed their family. They changed generations because of this industry. And I saw that environment. And I'll never forget, even at 21 years old, sitting in the back of that arena, from that moment forward, I made a decision in my life that I want to play an irreplaceable role in building the next company in the new era that does what has already been done, but in a whole new way at a whole new level. And it just changed, right? It changed my life forever because I saw this picture, I saw this vision of what was possible. And it was crazy because the same weekend that we had this event, and by the way, it wasn't a company event. They didn't do company events. It was a team event. It was a team event. Now, Yuri, don't get upset with me, but it was a Bill Britt event. It was a Brit Worldwide event, Yuri. Yeah, that same weekend, Yuri's mentor, Dexter Yeager, that same weekend, Dexter Yeager's team had an event, but they did their event in 3 different arenas. And they had simulcast via video. And they had over 100,000 people total, 35,000 in 3 different locations. So in one weekend, I'm 21 years old, and in one weekend, there were 2 teams in one company with a total of 200,000 people gathered together to get excited about soap and vitamins and network marketing. And I knew then, and I know now, because I left there and went to other companies along the way, and we've never seen that before. We've never seen it since. I mean, we would go to I was part of some pretty big companies, and I mean, if we had 15,000 people show up, that was big. That was rocking. Because the industry got diluted. Why did it get diluted? Because every company, there's over 10,000 network marketing companies open for business today. There's over 100,000 that have opened and closed. So what happened is that market share, every time a new company opened, got diluted, because you can only have so many flavors and names for a juice, right? Juju, boo-boo, whatever, right? You can only have, and so by the time you have 1,000 companies selling vitamins, all of a sudden you dilute that market, right? When you have, it's dilution. So I know in my heart that the way to recreate the way that we can create a movement even bigger than what's been done already in this industry is by grabbing our part of the market that doesn't exist yet, grabbing a disruptive portion of the market where there might be copycats, but I don't want to be the copycat. I want to be the one who's being copied. Are you with me? Yeah. Because imitation is the highest form of flattery. It really is, right? I just want to be first in the disruptive thought. I want to be first in the community. And I know with everything in my fiber that our business model in Daisy and now Daisy Liquid is that business model. It is that disruptive. You don't understand that when we were in the process of Daisy, I don't know how many hundreds of people, some of them are Pacesetter leaders in the room today, started talking to their people, calling their friends. And John, you remember this very well. How many people said, it's impossible. You guys can't do that. You can't do on a smart contract what these guys are saying you can do. How many of y'all heard that? So there's no way that this can even be done. And I love a challenge. We did it. We did what was never been done. And so I believe we have, just from an infrastructure perspective of a business model, we have something really potentially world-changing. Because of the transparency in this digital age that we're in, and because our commitment to being real, keeping everything 100% real, we have a real chance to be the company that raises the bar. Up until now, the largest company in the industry of network marketing for annual revenue is in fact Amway, and I think their peak year was $13 billion in 1 year. And I believe with all of my heart that we can break that in the next 10 years. Mo messaged me. I love the message you sent me, Mo. He messaged me, said, I don't know why, but I believe this, Roma, 100%. He said, I believe by 2025, he said, I believe by 2025, we will have 30 million contributors in Daisy. I believe it, 100%. Which, when you look in the real world, that's not even a big number, quite frankly. When you look at how many users there are on Facebook, or how many app downloads there are of a new app, 30 million is not even a really super big number. In our industry, it's big, like 30 million customers, that's crazy. But when you look at the real world, the big world, especially the digital world, 30 million people participating in an ecosystem is not even a huge number. We got to create enough value that people are like, of course I'm a part of Daisy. Right? And in the future, it's going to be, Daisy, everything. Daisy wallets, Daisy debit cards, Daisy, Daisy exchange. There's no limit, right? When people enter the crypto world, they're going to come through the door of Daisy because we're going to provide it all. DeFi and yield farming and all. This is all in our future together. We'll be an ecosystem for the people. Right? Completely. So 30 million is a real number. Real number in the next 4 years. It's a real number. So this rewards plan really is designed to do a couple of things. Number one, we really don't ever, in this model, want to look and feel and sound in any way, shape, or form like a traditional, typical network marketing MLM opportunity, right? So the last thing we want to do in this business model is come out and talk about, 3x10 matrix and, generations and, all this stuff. Because that just, for the public who's not network marketing, that's language that doesn't resonate, right? It kind of triggers, maybe some misunderstandings and misperceptions. We really want to approach this market as a peer-to-peer ecosystem, peer-to-peer environment where as a project, we share the rewards back to the community. And if you decide to share this with other people, you have a chance to participate in those rewards, right? And so it's actually going to be bigger rewards and bigger payouts potential for leaders like you and I who build. But when we're presenting this and you're presenting it, we're sharing this, it's not going to sound like, oh no, it's one of those things, right? I'm a big believer in stimulus response. Here's what I mean by stimulus response. Let me give you an example. Let me come down here. Call it the flinch effect. So let's say I'm down here and I'm presenting and I'm talking and I'm having a good time over here and I'm walking. Everybody's watching. And I come up and I have a needle in my hand, but no one knows I have a needle in my hand. And I come up and I walk up and Beverly's sitting here. She's all excited. She's videoing me. And I take my needle and I prick Beverly in the arm with this needle. What's Beverly's first reaction? Besides get up and punch me. She will, I know. But what's her first reaction going to be when that needle pricks her arm? Ah! She's going to pull away, right? Everybody's looking like, why in the world did he just do that? And I keep talking like nothing happened. I keep doing, and I walk back towards Beverly again. And this time, I put the needle in my pocket. She doesn't know. And I'm talking, and this time I go, what's Beverly going to do the second time? I don't have a needle in my hand. I'm not going to poke her. But because it happened before, her neural programming says, uh-oh, warning sign, this looks familiar. They have a 3x10 with 8 generations and check match. I remember that Amway meeting. Boop, flinch. Right? Are you with me? So we can't try to fit new wine into old wineskin, right? To move into this digital age, we have to start to have different levels of conversation, like equity, right? Like equity, like profit sharing. It's a different conversation. It's the exact same concept. It means you go out and help grow the deal by referring people. You have a chance to make money. But we got to wrap it differently in a digital age and really make it relevant to the world that we're in today. So we really spent a lot of time, and listen, we're open to suggestions because until we launch officially, this isn't even final, but I think we really got something simple here in this referral model, and I think it's going to be really juicy. So let me share this with you. I like any referral model that can be shown on one slide. How many of y'all agree? Right? If the comp plan part of the presentation is longer than the product part, you're old school. And if you got to over-explain it or people are confused, then you lose the energy. You want the heat of a conversation, the power of the conversation to be all about the product. You want people to go, this is a no-brainer. I want one of these NFTs. And then the last slide, oh, you mean I can tell someone else about this? And then done, right? It's done. Because the moment they buy into the product idea, it's a no-brainer to say, yeah, I'll probably share it with some people, and wow, I get to make money. So it's real simple. Two things. You have a point system. The NFT is worth 10 points. The micro NFT is worth 1 point. We could always make that token. We could have some little. I mean, it wouldn't be a real token, but we could adjust the wording there if we want to. But it's real simple. If you reach 120 lifetime points in personal referrals, you earn a free NFT miner for life. Plus, every time you refer someone, you get a 5% referral fee. So pretty simple, but someone can go out and refer 12 people to an NFT, 10 points times 12 people is 120 points, and you now earn a free miner. And you earn the revenue from that miner. Then we have the executive pool. Every 20 points in your team during any calendar month equals a share in next month's pool. I'll explain that to you in a moment, what that pool is. But every 20 points, so what does that mean? That means every 2 miners that your team buys or sells, every 2 miners equals a share in this pool. If your team has 10 miners that month, you get 5 shares. Every 2 miners, every 20 points, you get a share. The only rule that applies in any of these bonus pools is what's called the 50% rule. And that just simply means that you have to have those points from at least 2 different teams. So otherwise we dilute the pools, right? If there's, someone, who, buys 100 miners and there's 100 people, you don't want all 100 of those people to automatically get a share because they didn't do any work yet. So it's got to come from at least 2 teams. You can earn unlimited shares every month. Every 2 NFTs sold in your team equals 1 share, no more than 10 points from 1 unilevel team. This bonus pool is designed to do one thing, and I'm going to share a little bit with you about the psychology of compensation plans, and because people really get this messed up. They misunderstand the purpose of a comp plan. Comp plan really has 0 to do with how much money gets paid out. It has to do with what behavior you're rewarding. A comp plan is nothing more than an activity driver. It's nothing more than the carrot in front of the activity that says, okay, what do we want? What action do we want to reward? So this part of the comp plan is really designed to reward everyone. This is designed to reward the masses. You don't have to be a big leader. You don't have to be a rock star. You literally can go out and have 2 people referred in your group in a month, and you're going to get this bonus. And what behavior are we driving here? We want, I hate to use this word, but we want the little guy to be excited about doing something small consistently, right? Man, if we just have a couple referrals a month, and they're winning big by doing this small activity. We're driving the behavior on a small level, right, first. So this is big, and it's the same thing with the personal referral bonus with the free miner. How many of y'all would agree if every person in your team made a decision, I'm getting my free miner? And when we go live with this program, they have a goal to go out and get 12 referrals over the next year. How many of y'all agree as leaders, that's going to be real good for your business? Your check's going to look real nice, right? So we want people, they may say, I'm not a builder, I'm not a leader, but I know how I can share this. I can share this. Perfect. Step one, you refer the NFT. And by the way, this executive pool also includes personal referrals. So someone could go out and earn shares in the executive pool just from their personal referrals as well. If they refer 2 NFTs a month, they get a share in this bonus pool. And we're going to take 5% of every NFT sale in the smart contract, and it's going to go to this bonus pool. But here's what's cool about this and the strategy behind this. This is a 1-month bonus pool. So if in April or if in March someone earns a share, they're going to be the only ones, only March's people will be in April's bonus pool. If they want to be in May's bonus pool, they got to go do some work in April to get into May's bonus pool, right? The reason is we don't want this pool here, we don't want any dilution. We want this pool to be like that upfront pool, that short term, every month people are doing something to get in next month's pool because they're going to get some nice checks out of it, right? And so this is a month-to-month pool really designed so that the little guy can earn cash flow every month. They get some upfront money coming in the short term. Now, the elite pool has 2 sides to it. It has upfront and it has mining residual. So the elite pool has 5% upfront. So every time an NFT is sold, 5% goes into the smart contract for this pool, and shareholders in this pool share 5%. Now, this is not a month-to-month pool. So when you earn a share in this pool, it's permanent. You're in. 5% of all of the NFT sales go into this pool, and you're earning in that pool for life. But 5% of the mining also goes into this pool. Not the mining of your team, not the mining of the Daisy community, but 5% of all of the mining in the NFT market that we create, both private in Daisy and public on the Uplift platform. 5% of all the mined Bitcoin goes into this bonus pool. This is big, you guys. This is big. Just this, it's insane. It is. Because just this elite pool alone gives you that upfront cash flow and locks you in for lifetime residual Bitcoin. Incredible. And 200 points. And look, you can earn unlimited shares, right? So for every 200 points, let's just say you had 2 really strong teams that you built. And team 1 does 1,000 points and team 2 does 1,000 points. Well, that's 2,000 points. You just earned 10 shares in that pool for life. And there's no time limit on this. It's not month to month. So you could earn those shares in any period of time. Very cool. And then the Empire pool. This is where I had to make some phone calls the last couple of months to some of the leaders and just say, look, this Empire pool we're putting together is where it's at. This is where it's at. Because this is going to be a very elite pool, this Empire pool. Very elite. This will be a pool where you got to do some work. You got to build a team. You really got to move this thing. But every share in that Empire pool, and I want to make sure I'm clear on this, each pool is its own pool. So in the elite pool, it's only the elite shares. In the Empire pool, it's only the Empire shares. So there's no dilution here. Does that make sense? That Empire pool, 5% of all of the mined Bitcoin from the mining operation goes into this pool for elite builders. And I'm telling you that the reason we call it Empire pool is you can build an empire with this pool. You can build a financial empire with this one bonus pool. And here's what's great. Let's say your goal is to get in the Empire pool. Well, here's a great place to start. Go refer 12 people and get a free miner. And every time you refer someone or your team refers someone, you're now earning shares in the executive pool on your way to Empire. You're earning shares in the executive pool. And by the way, to get into the Empire pool, you've already earned 10 shares in the Elite pool. Because the Elite pool's 200, the Empire pool's 2,000. So by the time you get a share in the Empire pool, you also have 10 shares in the Elite pool. So you have 10 shares in the Elite pool, 1 share in the Empire pool. You have 100, you've earned potentially 100 shares in the executive pool along the way. And you've probably earned some free miners if you're referring. So we wanted to design this where one part of the referral plan is a stair step to the next part, is a stair step to the next part. So someone can come in and say, okay, where do I begin? And they can start here and start to earn and work their way down towards those top levels. That Empire pool is absolutely where it's at. There's going to be life-changing millions of dollars worth a year of residual income for people that are participating in the Elite pool and the Empire pool. And again, it's not just the NFT sales or the mining revenue from the Daisy community, but also from the Uplift community and the NFTs that are sold in the open market. When you earn a share in any of these pools, you're earning a share in the entire mining operation. Now, is that equity or what? If anybody in here has some value to bring to this project, listen, we know that it's a team effort. I had some people come up to me yesterday and say, listen, we know some people that are right now, they're buying land and properties to build mining operations. Someone else come to me and said, look, 2 people come, said, we know where we can get really low-cost power. And so, listen, we want this to be a community effort, a collective effort. So certainly, if you have some connections in this space, one of the things that certainly is going to be very powerful is the scaling of the data centers. So the miners are one side, the data centers themselves are another side. And so you may know some institutional people that say, hey, we would love to be a part of the data center infrastructure and come in at a higher level and support this vision. Certainly we're open to all of those conversations as well. So feel free, if you feel like you have something that might contribute, don't hesitate to reach out to us as well. I mean, as long as it's something that you feel is really important to what we're doing. So we know that we're not going to launch this. We told you guys very clearly, we won't launch this until we see the trading results come in. Now, look, I'll be honest. I hope we see those results just kick in this month. I mean, I hope in the month of April, we just all step back and go, whoa, look what just happened. Because I would love to launch this March 1st. But if by March 1st, we don't feel like we're together as a community, we're like, it's not time yet. We need another month. We need more results. Fine. But we want to launch this as soon as we can, but not before the community is ready. Does that make sense? We want it to be done in the right timing of things. We also want to take the temperature of the community. And like, for example, one of the things that we're doing is we have some financial backers on the data center for our data center partners that are willing to help capitalize the data center infrastructure as we scale. And it has to be in proportion to our growth on the NFT side, right? We don't want to build a 200 megawatt data center if we're only going to sell 20 megawatts of miners. And we don't want to build 20 megawatt data center if we're ready to sell 200 megawatts of NFTs. Does that make sense? So we want to take the temperature a little bit of the field. And so what we're going to do is this. And by the way we're going to structure all of this from here forward is we're going to do limited allocations each time. So for example, our first allocation will be 4,800 miners, 4,800 NFTs. Kind of a low number for our community, but we want to see what the appetite is. 4,800 miners, for example, with we have several miners right now that we have OEM manufacturing with, but the one that we'll probably start with, that represents 20 megawatts of electricity from the NFT owners. 4,800 miners equals 20 megawatts of data center infrastructure. So we'll launch an allocation, and then it'll sell out, right? It'll sell out. And then once it sells out, that allocation is done. That NFT, that group of NFTs is sold out. Then we'll announce the next allocation, right? It may be the same miner, it might be a different model, might be a different price point, but we'll open up another allocation maybe a couple weeks later. And it'll go by allocation, right? Just like NFTs do. There'll be a limited supply, only so many of each NFT available, and then done, and then we move from there. So what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna show you, just announce this right now, is we're gonna allow the community and each of you to reserve a miner for free, right? We don't want anyone to spend money, and we don't want anyone to be obligated to spend money, because we're not there yet. But we do want to know how many people in our community are interested in this business model, that want to own an NFT. So the team has built a smart contract. You have to be a Daisy member. You'll be able to go to that smart contract, and you can only reserve one NFT or one micro NFT, fractional NFT, only one per wallet address. And when we go live, you'll have 48 hours to execute the purchase. If at that point you say, I'm not interested anymore, it's okay. You just let the 48 hours expire, and it doesn't cost you anything. But for that first 48 hours that we go live in the future, let's say it's May 1st, those that have reserved their NFTs will have the option to make the purchase. If you don't make the purchase, then it will go back on the market and someone else can buy that NFT. And we may do a couple of rounds of allocation, right? A couple different sets of miners. The reason, one of the biggest reasons that we want to do this is it will give us some insight into how much interest there is. Like if we go, okay, wow, we just did, two rounds of 4,800 miners. We just did, almost 10,000 NFTs. The community wants this. The people want this. Then we can make business decisions on our end, and we can make financial commitments to the manufacturing of those miners, et cetera, based upon taking that temperature, right? We know what the response is. If we open up the, 4,800 miners is going to be our first allocation, and it takes 2 weeks or a week, and nobody's even caring, well, then we go, okay, we got to start small, and we can scale from there. So it allows us to take the temperature of the community, see what the interest level and appetite really is, but the community doesn't have to put any money in, because we know it's not time to ask people for money right now. Do you all agree with that? So it'll be a real simple process. In fact, you'll go through your TronLink wallet, just like you do now. You go through your TronLink browser, and you will go to liquidnft.club. And that's going to be the official website, the Liquid NFT Club. And the website is liquidnft.club. When you go on that website, you'll click the link that says enter the app. That's where you'll be able to reserve your NFT. Enter the app. So let's read through this real quick. Daisy members can reserve one NFT or one micro NFT. You'll use your existing Tron wallet, your Daisy Tron wallet, to access the smart contract. To reserve the NFT, there is an energy transaction fee. It looks like it's around 12 Tron. So whatever Tron is today, it's less than $1 total. You have 48 hours after the launch to secure your purchase. The purchase price will be determined. So we're not going to announce the official purchase price today because we don't know. We based upon the numbers and the response, we will make a decision of which mining hardware is going to be connected to the first NFT. And those price ranges can vary depending. And so you can expect between 8,000 to 15,000 per miner. Now, here's something I want to make sure you understand, 'cause that's a big price difference. We have one version of a miner that's more expensive, but it's producing twice the Bitcoin twice the hash power, right? So you're getting what you pay for. No matter the price point, it's the same price per hash power. It's just the actual piece of hardware is different versions, right? So if you buy an 8,000, let's say you buy a $8,000 NFT, you're going to make the same ratio or percentage of return as you would if you bought a $15,000 NFT. The difference is just the model and the design of what's being built. And we haven't made a final decision yet as to which model we're going to start with. So just giving you an idea of what that is before you make a decision to maybe reserve one on that. Most likely it's going to be, we're going to start with the 100 terahash miners, 125 terahash miners, which will be in that $8,000 to $9,000 range, most likely. The micro NFTs will range from $900 to $800 USDT for the micro NFT. The first allocation of NFTs is 4,800 total available units. So 4,800 total available miners. A micro NFT represents 1/10 of a miner. So when somebody buys that micro NFT, it actually represents 1/10 of that miner. So 1/10 of the Bitcoin mined from that miner will be given to each micro NFT owner, and each NFT will represent a full miner. You can go to liquidnft.club to reserve your NFT or your micro NFT. You can only reserve one, either one micro NFT or one full NFT. You have to choose. Click enter the app, and it's one reservation available per wallet. Now, here's what I'm going to ask from you guys too, because I know that some of you have many have different wallet addresses, et cetera, et cetera. Please don't reserve a miner unless it's your true intention to purchase that NFT at that time. Now, we certainly know we got to tell you a lot more information before the time comes. You're gonna want to know, hey, what's the expected ROI? How much Bitcoin will it produce? What's the actual cost? All those details we're going to give you before we launch and we go live. Just tell you, it's going to be sexy. You're going to be like, wow, this is incredible. This is an amazing ROI, and it's going to be good. But please don't reserve an NFT unless you're serious about it, because that messes us up, right? Like if somebody goes in right now and just goes, all right, I'm going to reserve 100 NFTs through all these different accounts, but you're not really planning on purchasing the NFT in the future, then we're going to look at the numbers and go, okay, our community's really excited about this, and the numbers maybe aren't real, right? Does that make sense? So that's why we want to limit it to one NFT per wallet. And look, if you and your family or whatever, you have multiple wallets and you want multiple NFTs, that's fine. You can reserve an NFT from your different wallets. Just please tell your team, and you as well, only reserve NFTs that you really do plan on purchasing. And obviously, you're not signing a contract. It's not a commitment. You may decide between now and then that this isn't for you. You have no obligation to purchase the NFT if you reserve it. But we do want to make sure that you have at least the intention of doing that so we can get an idea of what the participation is really going to be. We have to make some big decisions right now about infrastructure. So we've got to look at it and see, okay, what's the interest, and do we pull the trigger on 20 megawatts? Do we pull the trigger on 200 megawatts, right? How much electricity do we need to secure? How much manufacturing do we need to be ready to contract for, right? And all of this. The last thing I want to say, and I should put this in earlier just because, so it's not a letdown, but there is a time lapse between the time a person buys the NFT and the miner goes live online. The reason is we're not selling hash power. We're not selling hash power. We're not taking miners that are already old and up and running and then using people's money to keep the operations going. That's hash power. That's what other companies have done before. We're actually giving people a brand new manufactured miner that's going to be installed. It's going to be built and installed and up and running. And by the way, you'll be able to go on the blockchain and see your miner. You'll be able to see it working. You'll be able to see the Bitcoin it's mining every single day. You'll be able to see that on the blockchain. But it's going to be about up to a 4-month window from the time a person purchases their miner to when that miner is actually plugged in online and operating and running, because it has to be manufactured. The liquid immersion containers need to be manufactured and set up, and then the units have to be installed, and there's a process there. Now, it could be 3 months, could be less than 4, but 4 months is a good conservative estimate that's the longest it should be, is 4 months. And then once the miner, from the moment that miner goes online, you are earning that Bitcoin revenue automatically, and it's exciting. We estimate around an 8-month ROI. Again, there's factors there out of our control, like the price of Bitcoin, total hash power in the marketplace, right? So I won't bore you with details, but the mining difficulty, it's called, has to do with how much hash power is in the market, has to do with the price of Bitcoin. It's a mathematical formula. It's part of Satoshi's code. And that number changes. It rolls. So, some days it mines more Bitcoin. Some days it might mine a little bit less. And there's a little ebb and flow there. So there's no exact set number that says, here's how much Bitcoin every day one miner produces. It changes from day to day, week to week, month to month, within a certain range. But our estimation is 8 months ROI of actual mining. So you'd be looking, 8 months plus the 4 months for installation, about 12 months ROI to completely recoup the cost of the NFT. And then it's pure profits from there. It's pure Bitcoin profits from there. We've done the numbers. I can tell you this, even if Bitcoin runs to $200,000, you'll make more Bitcoin owning a miner. You'll make more money owning a miner than you would buying and holding Bitcoin. That's for sure. And especially with the liquid immersion technology and the edge that we have in the marketplace. One question I get asked a lot, is what happens if the market goes down? This is a great question, and we actually have a big advantage when the market goes down. When the market goes down, older miners that don't have liquid immersion technology, that don't have low-cost power, et cetera, they're no longer profitable. And so what do when they're not profitable? They turn off until the market comes back. Well, when those miners turn off, the amount of Bitcoin we represent, the hash power we represent, actually goes up. So in the low times, we'll actually mine more Bitcoin, which is great. So if the market dips, it's good for us. But of course, when the market goes up, it's good for us, because while we're mining maybe less Bitcoin than the low times, it's worth more US dollar value at that time as well. So any questions you guys have, we'll take time over the next couple of weeks, and we'll, you maybe even open up a group chat or something, or you can ask in the Pacesetter groups or the Pacesetter leader groups. We don't want this to become a distraction right now either. We certainly, listen, let's get the word out, get the message out. That's great. But right now, the focus has to be on finishing what we started, and really the Daisy AI and the story that's unfolding right now with the new algorithms. This is where the excitement is at. But how many of y'all agree this is going to be cool? So we're excited, and we love you guys. And Edward, are you coming back up? All right, cool. Thank you, guys.